eye will never lie. If something looks off, it's probably not going to taste great. It could just be from contact of meat on meat, or just what happens when the meat reacts to the air. But if the entire surface is discolored, that's not what you want. If anything looks pale, it's probably going to be lacking in flavor and lacking in nutrients.
That bright red steak in the meat aisle, it might be days or even weeks past its prime. Grocery stores and meat processors use chilling tricks, gas treatments, and chemical washes to make spoiled or aging meat look fresh again. Here's how they fake freshness and how to spot it before you buy. You walk into the grocery store. The meat section gleams under bright lights, red, juicy steaks, perfectly pink ground beef. Everything looks clean, fresh, and ready for the grill. But what if that perfect-looking meat is lying to you? What if behind that bright red color is meat that's already started to rot? Because the dirty secret of the food industry is this: freshness is often an illusion. Meat that should have been thrown out is chemically treated, gas flushed, repackaged, and resold. And the average consumer can't tell the difference. This is how they make old, aging meat look brand new again. And chances are, you've already eaten it. Let's start with the color. We're trained to think that red equals fresh. When ground beef or steak looks dull, brown, or gray, we instinctively assume it's gone bad. And usually that's correct. But meat naturally starts turning brown as soon as it's exposed to oxygen. It's called myoglobin oxidation, a harmless process that doesn't mean the meat is spoiled, just aging. But here's where things get shady. Instead of tossing meat that's turning brown, many suppliers and grocers use a gas called carbon monoxide to keep it looking red, even if it's days past its prime. That's right. The same gas that's deadly in your garage is used to fake freshness in your food. Carbon monoxide binds to myoglobin in meat and gives it a bright, cherry red color that can last weeks longer than normal. It doesn't stop spoilage, it just hides the visual signs. In other words, it looks fresh, but it could already smell sour or feel slimy inside the packaging. You'd never know until you open it. And by then, you've probably already brought it home. And it gets worse. Some grocery stores and butchers use chemical rinses like lactic acid, citric acid, or chlorine dioxide to wash meat that's starting to show signs of decay. These chemicals can kill surface bacteria, reduce odor, and help the meat feel firmer and appear fresher. The process is known in the industry as reconditioning. You might see the same cut of meat go from the discounted bin to the regular price shelf, just with new packaging and a different sell-by label. These chemical rinses are legal. The USDA even allows them in meat processing, but they do nothing to reverse spoilage that's already begun inside. They're just a surface cleanup, like spraying perfume on garbage. The inside of the meat could still be deteriorating, full of bacteria like Listeria, E. coli, or Salmonella. But thanks to color-fixing gases and chemical washes, you'd never know, until it's too late. Here's another trick: meat glue. Technically called transglutaminase, this enzyme allows meat processors to take scraps of meat, leftover cuts, trimmings, and even expired sections, and fuse them back together into what looks like a solid, fresh steak. It's used in restaurants and even some grocery stores to reduce waste and save money. The resulting product looks like a whole cut, but it's actually been Frankensteined together from meat scraps, some of which may be past their best date. The real danger: when glued meat is cooked, the outer surface bacteria can get sealed inside, especially if the final product is cooked rare or medium. That bacteria can multiply, and you won't know until you get sick. And if you think this only happens in shady butcher shops or discount grocers, think again. Big-name supermarkets have been caught using these tricks too. In 2019, whistleblowers from a major grocery chain revealed that meat department managers were instructed to repackage old meat with new sell-by labels to reduce inventory loss. Employees who refused, often punished or replaced. Other stores have been caught grinding old beef into fresh-looking ground meat, mixing old and new together to stretch inventory. You're not just buying old meat, you're buying blended meat that hides its age. Let's talk about fresh, never frozen. It sounds good, it sells product. But here's the reality. Meat that's labeled fresh might have been sitting in a distribution center for 10 to 14 days, sometimes longer, before hitting the shelves. And once that meat starts to brown, Cue the gas flush. Cue the rinse, cue the repackage. Suddenly, it looks as fresh as day one, even if it's nearly expired inside. Some chains even partially freeze and thaw meat multiple times, a process known as slack out, where frozen meat is slowly defrosted and sold as fresh without ever labeling it as previously frozen. This can mess with texture, flavor, and safety, especially if the temperature isn't carefully controlled. And if the meat doesn't sell, it can be ground up and sold as hamburger, where texture and aging are easier to hide. And then there's the labeling game. Did you know that the sell-by and best-by dates aren't regulated by the federal government for most meats? They're set by the manufacturer or grocer, often based on internal policies, not spoilage science. That means your supermarket can reprint and slap a new label on a package, and it's technically not illegal. Some stores do this to manage stock. Others do it to extend the shelf life of aging meat by days. In many cases, they repackage ground meat multiple times, with only the final label showing. It's like putting a new expiration date on an old carton of milk. Legal loophole? Maybe. Ethical? Absolutely not. So how can you protect yourself? Here's what to look for. Check the color, but don't trust it completely. Bright red isn't always fresh. Look for excess liquid or slime in the packaging. That's a red flag. Press the meat gently. If it feels mushy or spongy, it may have been reconditioned or frozen and thawed. Smell it through the package. Meat should have little to no odor. Sour or metallic smells equals danger. Ask your butcher questions. Where was the meat processed? When did it arrive? Was it previously frozen? Also, trust your gut. If something smells off when you open the package at home, don't risk it, even if it looks fine. There's one more reason this should worry you: health risks. When meat spoils, bacteria doesn't just sit on the surface. It spreads inside. If that meat is masked with gases, chemicals, or sauces, you may never know it's contaminated until you're sick. Every year, thousands of Americans get food poisoning from meat that looked and smelled okay. Some of them end up in the hospital. Some never fully recover. And for immunocompromised individuals, children, and the elderly, it can be fatal. And it's all completely preventable. If the industry didn't disguise old meat as fresh, you'd know when to walk away. But as long as appearance sells and margins matter more than ethics, this problem won't go away. This isn't about scaring you. It's about arming you with knowledge. Because food safety starts with transparency. And right now, the system isn't transparent. It's polished, it's rewrapped, it's gassed, it's rinsed. And it's designed to make you trust something you shouldn't. They count on the fact that you don't know how to tell the difference. Now you do.